Hi, I'm Elaine Moses, the mother of 3 beautiful children. And today is Sunday, March the 22nd, 2020. I was born in Brownsville, Pennsylvania on June 25, 27. My parents' name is Nissa, which translated to English is Elizabeth, and my father's name was Michael Verhoon, yes.
And how would you explain Situ?
Warm and loving and giving, and everything that her husband did was okay with her. At that time, it was where the man, commanded everything. Remember, that was how many years ago, Every day, a white starched shirt. Never without that.
And a
When
tie.
he came down, it was everything. My 2 friends, my mother always had everybody for brunch. So my friends, Marion and Eddie Albert, she said, Elaine, she said, how was it your mother's? I said, I didn't want to say anything there. We sat down. Your father came in, sat down. Your mother poured the coffee, peeled the egg, sliced it, buttered the Syrian bread, poured his coffee, and put his sugar and milk. And he thought that was natural.
Mike.
My father, opposite of my mother. She was open and warm-hearted and stuff. My father wasn't. He kept everything to himself and quiet, but he was a smart man. Very smart man. I always tell the story of they were going to Dormont Bank, and my father was in front of Bob. So, and he was looking at his bank thing. He handled everything by himself. He was a smart man, like this. And Bob said, "Hi, and he went like this. He closed the bank. So he wouldn't see
So
what he
Dad
had
would not see what
in
his
the bank.
balance was.
Yeah, in the bank, yes.
What did your father do while he was in Brownsville?
In Brownsville, he sold, he had a truck, sold vegetables and candy, believe me, on the truck. And then he was the owner of 2 buildings in Brownsville, Pennsylvania. It was a liquor place with sandwiches and so forth. And my mother lived upstairs. She had a maid that came in every week, did the laundry, did all the pressing for her there. So she did well there. She was happy there.
What happened to your father before he came to the United States?
He came into, which is now Lebanon, and they had
A plague?
yes. And he was married. He had 3 children. His wife and 3 children perished in that,
Plague.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Situ, as a young child, attended her future husband's wedding in Syria.
I don't recall that.
Aunt Lorraine told us.
That you're talking about, yeah.
Yes, that Situ was at his wedding as a child. Then he immigrated to the United States, and then Aunt Husna sent for she and Uncle George and arranged the marriage between Jiddu
Well,
and she.
when all the young men that came from overseas, when they knew there were Syrian people in Brownsville, so they figured and they heard that there was a single girl there, so they were flooded with men coming to decide on my mother. How she decided on my father, I don't know.
Okay. Your brothers and sisters. Who are your brothers and sisters?
My brothers and sisters, what
Yes.
about them?
What are their names? Who are them?
Oh, Lorraine was the oldest, wasn't she? Yeah. My sister Lorraine and Robert, and then I. And then 10 years, when I was 10 years older, she had a child, which then was like, oh my God, that was unheard of. Now everyone has babies at 56.
Yes.
So it was that bringing it together, it worked beautifully, yes. He was loved. What a beautiful child he was. Look at that face. And he was like my child, because I would take him for walks, and I would dress him. Look. And that chair is what Linda has. Amazing. My mother really got everything good because they had money then. And they lived above her stores, his stores. So she had everything. The lady cleaning and all that. That was a normal thing, yes.
And Uncle Billy, he was the favorite of everyone, of Aunt Lorraine.
Well, he was the
everyone.
baby, yes.
Yes.
My brother Robert was a quiet man. His big thing to go out, go to the movies, get a hamburger and a Coke. He's a very quiet man. He read a lot. Billy livened up our family, you know. Everything that Billy did was good. Personality, laughing, smiling, you know.
And what about Lorraine, your older sister?
Lorraine was the head of the family, whether she wanted to do or not. So whatever she said, fine. But we were different personalities altogether. Because, you know, we listened to everything she said. That was it. She was a beautiful woman and really took care of everything. She went during the wartime when they needed work and so forth. I think she worked, the Heinz Company. The women went, and it was, I don't know if she was in the drilling section or something, because we used to laugh about her, you know, with the thing. That didn't bother her, honey. She went in, and when Lorraine was there, you knew she was there, yes.
And she married Uncle Nevin, and they had the drink.
She married Uncle Nevin, and that was a lovely little wedding. Everything was fine with them, you know.
And then Robbie married Martha.
Robert married Martha, lived on the south side, on the corner of South Side, yeah.
And what did Uncle Robbie do for a living?
He was a carpenter. And then he got a job with one of the buildings downtown. I don't know, it was the Clark Building. And he was in charge of putting the men to work, you know.
And Uncle Billy, how old was he when he passed away?
He was 22. It was a terrific. I really can't think of it now with getting choked up. He was going to Pitt, and he was working at the cleaners with Lorraine to earn extra money. So he was working all day there, and he said he was going. We kept telling him, Billy, don't go now. You're tired. He went with his buddy. You're tired. Go to sleep and go in the morning. He said, no, Mom, we want to get going. We want to get going. And he went, and that terrible, terrible phone call. And my father was about 20 years older than my mother. And when that phone rang, because Daddy just had surgery, Uncle Phil, who lived near Billy, wanted us to come and stay at his house. He said, be quiet. I'll feel good. I'll be able to see you. So I was down there, and then I remember I was sweeping the floor, and the phone rang. I don't know, nothing. And then Carrie and Billy was next door. She came over. She said, Elaine, your mother wants you to come to the house. I said, what's wrong? She said, oh, I don't know, Billy's doesn't feel good. Something's wrong there, you know. So they drove me up. And when I got there, I heard the wailing. My father wailed. Imagine this, you know, that he's that old. And he heard over the phone, are you William Abraham's father? Yes. And we've had a terrible accident, yeah.
And they were driving to Florida, correct?
That was their plan. I think it happened in Virginia. Mm-hmm.
Why were they going to Florida?
For vacation.
And Uncle Billy had been in the Marines?
Oh, yes, he was. I forgot about that, yeah. I think we have a picture of him somewhere.
Yes.
He was in the Marines. Good-looking boy, personality, outgoing. The opposite of my brother Robbie, because Robbie would look at him and say, what, you know. We followed whatever Aunt Husna did. She was the head of the family. And whatever she did, we did. They all decided to move into the South Side. We lived there 5 years and then moved into Dormont, following Aunt Husna, yes.
And how did your mother come to the United States?
I don't know. She came bringing her brother George Williams. And it was all the little funny stories that she told. Anyhow, when they were on the ship, there was trouble with the ship, and they had to take all the passengers onto the shore, onto the deck. And that's when my mother, remember, she came with her own pots and pans and everything. And that's where she cooked for her brother and herself, yeah.
And Uncle George, what did she do to keep Uncle George close to her on the ship?
When the announcement came over the ship that we have trouble on the boat, we were going to put everyone on the deck, on the shore there. So, and all the men were going to stay on the boat, and the other ones would leave with their family. Well, my mother was frightened then, and she didn't want to leave Uncle George by himself, so she dressed him as a girl. You know, he was a nice-looking man. This is the passport that she received from the French people, and it is to Neza Milham from Mushta, which we were from the Ayoun. But they, on the side, they put the color of the hair, the color of the eyes. Nationality Syrian. They spelled it Syrinnne, the French version of it. They were coming into America was a big thing. America was a beautiful place. Never believing that they would ever leave their country like that. But Aunt Husna left, and her eldest brother, there were four of them, she went ahead of time, and she's the one that sent them money and stuff to come on the boat. And she said when she was on the deck and they were going in to the New York harbor, you know, she said, oh, we were all crying and waving to the Statue of Liberty and so forth. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And everyone wrote them, didn't they, about Brownsville? So when they came off the ship in New York, what was the common saying?
Well, when they landed in New York, they were just so amazed, you know, even with the small buildings that they had. And they couldn't believe they're in New York. They said, if New York's like this, Uncle Basil was taking care of everybody. He said, if New York is like this, what could Brownsville be? He said, wait and you see, it's the most beautiful town in the United States of America.
And so they
So it was
migrated
beautiful, yes.
to Brownsville.
So, what jobs have you had?
Well, when we graduated, my close friend Miriam Jett, it's so funny. Uncle Davy Davis would pick us up to drive us to our jobs downtown. He said, okay, Elaine, start, and we would sing. He said, where do you know all those songs? I said, I don't know. My always remark was, I don't know my name. I don't know where those songs come from. Because Bertie would call me, Elaine, how about that song? What's that next sentence? God almighty. Then they were having, naturally the Army had the big place down in D.C. So Miriam and I thought, oh, that's good. We're going to get an apartment. We're going to work for the government. But when our parents heard we were going to go, my God, you can't go. We never did work that. So my first job was at the OPA, the Office of Price Reduction, I think. That was the first one.
What did you do?
Secretarial work, yeah. And then, oh my God. You don't remember Steve Bartolak? No, oh God. Handsome guy, yeah. We did that work, and then that passed out when the war was over. And then Steve Bartolak, handsome guy, he said, we're getting a job with the insurance company. Why don't you try to come to Great American Insurance and Company? So we went. And he said, listen, I want to tell you, he would call me Abraham all the time. Listen, Abraham, if you go a little slower and we can find it, we'll follow you. But we can't follow you the way you sing. It was great. It was a good time. Good time, yeah.
And what would you do for the insurance company?
Pardon me?
What did you do for the insurance company?
I was what we call a private secretary then to the boss, the manager of the thing there. After working for the insurance company, Steve Bartolak, yeah, he's the one. No, his last name. He was a Jewish fellow. He opened his own office and he sold stocks and bonds and all that sort of stuff. So he asked me to go with him. So I had a beautiful life. I went out to lunch when I wanted to, come back when I wanted to. At Christmas, he would send me over to Saks Fifth Avenue and I remember I got a suit there. He said, get whatever you want that way. Yeah, it was nice. Nice guy. No, that was a good thing. And then he closed his office. So I guess when I didn't want to tell Bob I didn't have a job. On the way going down to Florida, he said, when do you have to return? I said, return to what? I said, well, I don't have a job now. He was hysterical. He said, when were you going to tell me? I said, I don't know, after we got a house. That's funny.
Okay, and so how did you meet Dad?
Oh, well, we used to go to all the Syrian dances of the churches in Bridgeville, Greensburg, wherever it was. And somehow we were going to Uncle Gene's house. I guess he invited Bob to go. I never knew him. I was sitting on the side with him. We were talking, and pretty soon we're talking politics, you know how it is. And we weren't talking about mundane things, you know. It was important things. And I liked that stimulus there, you know. He was very nice. We went to the Greensburg affair. We met all the Syrian people. It was great. I'll never forget. I was at the bar having a sling cocktail. It was gin and tonic, very light. I was sitting at the bar with George Elias, yeah. And Aunt Caroline comes. She'd be the boss. She said, "What are you drinking there?" I said, "Just a cocktail." "Throw it away. You're not allowed to eat that." And she would have left. We just looked at each other. He said, "Who's that?" I said, "Oh, a relation of ours." Yeah, it worked out. It was good. It was good time, good, clean fun. And then we went to the dance. And after the dance, we said, "Oh, let's stop and have a drink." They had little nightclubs there. And so we stopped. I'll never forget that. It was like a movie. In the meantime, I was dating David. Good, good, good man. I feel sorry today that I hurt him as I did. And he said, You want to dance?" I said, "Oh, fine." And on the dance floor, it was something like you would see in a movie. We danced and everything clicked. And then my hell broke loose. Not Elaine marrying a Catholic. This was, oh my God. And I was active in my church. It really stunned me. Stunned my mother.
How was it?
And what's ironic, she screamed, "How can you do that? Murane, no, you can't marry him." What about David? They love David. And I still care for him today. He was a good man. And I said, "No, no, no." You can't do that. I said, "No, Mama, we're going to get married and stuff." She wailed. I wailed. How could you marry a Catholic? Remember, that was bad, bad. But we fought everyone, and we somehow we got through it. And the ironic thing, and we lived with my mother for 3 or 4 months till we bought that house on Texas Avenue. And what was ironic, she loved him like a son. Like a son. It's so funny how that turned out. She saw what he was and what he does and stuff. And he sat in the kitchen in Dormont, and he was having coffee. My mother's real quick and stuff. I guess he put it down. I don't know, the cup was gone. He said, "Your mother washed the cup." In the cupboard. She was a fast worker, yeah. No, they loved him. They knew what he had. I was sick once, and he came to visit me. Well, those days, nobody came to your bedroom like that. Well, he said, "No, we're just going to come up for a little bit, Mom." She said, "Okay." She was against it. Well, it was a light, snowy day in my bedroom. He came up, and we're talking. We looked at the window. There's my mother. The snow coming down, and she's wiping... She's wiping the window. Yet he said, "Oh my God, there's your mother." I said, "She likes to clean windows." Yeah, amazing. But it all went well, thank God. A very quiet wedding. And, my mother-in-law heard all the against him and stuff. She said, "My son's a fine man. He comes from a good family," which is true. And she couldn't understand that. When we got engaged, at that time you had the priest come to your house and bless the ring. And they all came. Tony, I didn't know his father very well. When we met him, he became ill. He was at the Veterans Hospital with pneumonia and something else bad, yeah.
Tuberculosis?
And,
Did he have tuberculosis?
Pardon me?
Did he have tuberculosis? He was in that.
I think he was,
he
yes.
Was in that.
Yes. And
Iron
he was a good time guy, a beautiful personality, out bouncing. But I didn't get to know him that well because we had a picnic. Mary Ann had a picnic out where the nuns live or something.
Mary and Moses.
Yes, and so I didn't get to know him that well, but they all came for the blessing of the rings, and my mother had lunch, so it was a nice thing that way. So we went to visit the priest. Ugh. I have nothing but terrible feelings about him. He treated me like I was, what are you doing? You married, you're Orthodox, you're going to marry Catholic, you have to change. And so he's preached and preached. He was a tough guy, tough. When we sat down and he was giving this whole speech and stuff, I said, look, we'll baptize the children Catholic, but I cannot change my faith. I can never change my faith. He didn't like that. You're supposed to follow your husband. I said, I'm following my husband, but I have to keep my faith. I can never change. He wanted to change. That would have made everything good. So we were down this little old church in Brookline. I have to show it to you sometime. We go in. No one was invited. Martha Albert was there, a few of my friends. I didn't want to invite anybody. We couldn't do that. And they wouldn't let me, it's just a small church, they wouldn't let me walk down the aisle. When we got to the altar, I wasn't allowed to go up to the special, there's like a two-step. I wasn't allowed to do that. My father brought me from the side door, and if you see a picture of him, he looks like he's going to a funeral. Oh. And my mother tried to smooth things over and so forth. Then we went to his house on Bedford Avenue, yes. So it was very nice. We had a nice lunch and stuff. It was just my family. And then our friends Babe and Lee Josio came to the plane, We got on the plane. There's a picture of me waving goodbye. We went to Florida. We were gone for over 2 weeks. We were a week in Florida and a week I think about 5 days in Cuba. And then they had a terrible, terrible storm. They were telling the visitors to get back to your base thing. I know one night we were going out to one of the nightclubs like you had gone to, and it was pitch night. We didn't know that. Some of them were speaking English, some of them Spanish. We got in the car broke down. So I thought they're going to rob us. That's why but they were very, very nice. But it wasn't a pleasant evening because we were frightened about, we're in a strange country. Then you didn't go to Cuba like that. They would go, later on everybody went, But it was nice. It was a nice thing.
When you went back to Florida, what happened? Why did you come back?
Let's see. We went back we're back to Florida in the hotel or whatever we had. And the phone rang one night, and he got off the phone. He said, we have to go home. I said, why? This Junior's going to the Army. I said, well, if he's going to the Army, that's okay. He said, no, we have to go home. Now, when Junior got his notice, Bobby didn't want to tell him on the phone. He flew down to tell Junior. He didn't want to bother Junior.
And Junior where was Junior?
Pardon me?
Where was Junior? He was boxing in Florida.
He was boxing in Florida. I said, well, why can't you tell him on the telephone? He said, oh, no, I can't do that. That's how close they were, yeah.
What was Dad's family like? Billy?
Beautiful. I was so impressed when I went down there for dinner. She had steak and pork chops. Well, usually we have steak and potatoes and salad. No. She was a great cook. Had a beautiful dinner, yeah, it was.
And where did they live?
They lived on Bedford Avenue, and then when we got the house in Dormont, Junior and Bob got her the house in Dormont. She had a lovely home there.
On Vocal?
She was very happy, yes.
And who lived with you on Texas Avenue?
Pardon me?
Who lived with you on Texas Avenue?
Who lives me?
On Texas Avenue, who lived in the house?
Oh, my goodness, I never knew. Jerry got married, and I don't know how they ended up. We had a third floor. It was a big, old, gracious home inside. The dining room, all our parties were in the dining room. Huge room, huge. And let's see, we were talking about,
Who lived at the house on Texas? Aunt Jerry got married
well,
from the house.
something, Nikki and she had an apartment in Beachview. And something happened. Oh, they were going to call him to go to the Army. So he came and stayed in the attic. The attic was very nice and big. He stayed with us, and then Junior was with us. Now, Junior, I wasn't used to Junior. You know, my brother Robert, his good time was a movie and a hamburger. Well, he's coming down the steps one night, and he lived on this side of the house, and we were this way. And it had a sun porch in the back. You know what a sun porch is? So one day I'm just going up the steps, and it was like 10 o'clock, 10, quarter after 10. And he came down all dressed. I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going out." I said, "You're going out?" Well, I wasn't used to that kind of a life. You know, everything, you went to a movie, got a hamburger, and that was it. He said, "I'm going." I said, "What kind of people go out at 10 o'clock at night?" Well, they used to have the after hours club. So all those people were not. They had good times, good memories, and good laughs. They were good laughs, yeah.
When I was born, I remember the story about Uncle Junior. You were walking and singing.
Oh, yeah. So anyhow, I always sing, you know, not for anybody, for myself. That's just how I was. And so he must have just come in, I guess, a little bit. So he went in and just dozing off, and his bedroom was off of the sun porch. So I'm singing, and I get carried away. The baby's sleeping, and I'm still singing. He comes out, he opens the door. He said, and I was saying, I like all those religious Presbyterian songs. And he said, "If I hear one more Jesus song, you're going to be out of this house."
You're going to be walking with Jesus.
Huh?
He said, "You're going to be walking with
You're
Jesus."
going to be walking with Jesus. And then Mom and I we made cookies forever in the sun porch. Well, every couple of days, or 4 or 5 days, when we were baking, we'd go out and some of the cookies were off the tray. I said, "Junior, that's for Christmas." He said, "Well, I was hungry. What could I do?" I knew that we changed the cookies then, yeah. We didn't trust him. The beautiful man, beautiful guy. Beautiful, beautiful.
Situ, why did you start singing in the first place?
What?
Why did you start singing? What started you singing?
I don't know, it was just in me. When we're out, I remember Bertie saying, "How come you know all those songs?" I said, "Listen, I don't even know my name. They come." And in fact, my mother-in-law used to say, because we would sing, Jerry and I would sing while doing dishes and stuff. She said, "How do you know that song?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, that's a song from World War I. It's just that the music, I was drawn to the music, you know. I still do."
What's your favorite song to sing?
Then, there were too many. Oh, my. When we would ride, my Uncle George would take us for a ride all the time. He's the only one that had a car, yeah. And I would sing in the back, and Aunt Mary would say, "Okay, Elaine, sing that other song, sing that other song." And it's just that the music came out, like whatever last word they would sing, I'd try to get a song that would match it. I don't know why. But because I like music and that, and it was nice. It was a happy life. Happy life. We went out and we'd say, Uncle George called, said, "Come on, we're going to South Park." I remember we stayed at Lost Spring in South Park on the right-hand side. And we'd get whatever's in the house. My mother would boil eggs. There'd be watermelon. There'd be zaytun. We just had a good time being together on the moment. Now, if you have a picnic, it has to be catered, yeah.
When we were going to sleep, you would sing
Oh,
to us.
yes.
What would you
Oh, I
sing?
know. And Jamie and them would still say that.
Yes.
Situ. And I would sing to them, and I'd rub their face like this after they take a bath. They loved my tub. It was a sunken tub. And they loved my son. They'd come and then I would wrap my finger around their face and I would sing, "You're the end of the rainbow, my pot of gold. You're mommy's little girl to have and to hold. You're daddy's bright and shining star. You're the spirit of Christmas, my star on the tree. You're the Easter bunny to daddy and me." Yeah, it was nice.
How did you feel about Jadu's dad's business?
Oh, I loathed it. It wasn't in the front of my mind. It was back in my mind. Once he was saying, "Come on, I'll teach us." No, I said, "I can't even add 1 and 2, which is true." I said, "No, that was all right." But he was all that you would want. If you had a friend, I'll never forget when what's her name from Boston,
Alice?
Emmeline.
Oh, Emily.
Mark, her husband, her boyfriend brought. His name's not Mark. I can't
Marshall.
forget. Huh?
Marshall?
Marshall, yeah. He brought her down, and she was sitting at the dining room table in the game room. And Bob went over to her. She said, "Elaine, I'll never forget that as long as I live. I was an outsider. He came and sat with me. Where you from? Come in. I'm so glad you're here." That's the kind of a man he was, yeah. If you came down the road and said, "I'm in trouble, I have to have, can you at least give me a ride?" He'd be the first one there. He truly was a beautiful man. Maybe out of his day. See, Junior couldn't understand him. Junior and Billy, no. Oh, and if that Billy, I loved Bill, yeah. He told stories like an old-fashioned man. But Billy was a storyteller, and so was Junior. Bob was never still a storyteller. Bobby was a one joke guy. If you talked to him, he slipped this in and you'd laugh hysterically. Very quietly, he had a quiet voice. Yeah, he was. Junior couldn't understand him. He said he was too good, really. He had 2 grocery stores down on the hill. And my mother-in-law, I know when we were first talking about it, she said, "I'll show you the books." Everyone comes in, "Well, I don't have money for this." He said, "Okay." He said, oh, she was so furious. He had 2 stores going, little grocery stores. He let everybody, he just couldn't say no. "I don't have the money now. I'll pay you next week," That's how it went. That's how he was. He graduated from Central Catholic, yeah.
How did a guy from the hill, they didn't have electricity, end up at
Oh,
Central
well,
Catholic?
I don't know. One of his teachers recommended him. His grades were good. He really was a smart man. He was never going to show you that. Billy and Junior would, but not Bob, no. Mm-mm.
Philip,
Yeah.
what was he like as a kid?
Philip and Michelle would go out and play robbers and cowboys. You never did. That wasn't your. They asked you to come. No, and they had guns, and they were. You buy guns and stuff there. That was good. They did fine.
Did any of the kids ever get in trouble?
Not that I'm aware of. Philip used to bring, and we have that big sun porch in our house, and I'd come out and there'd be bowls with snakes and turtles and stuff, and that's what he did. That was his job.
What about in Dormont when Philip caught the awning on fire?
Got the what?
Awning on fire. He was playing with matches in the side
Oh,
of the
I
house.
forgot that, Linda. Oh my God.
And he got
I know
the
we
awning
went
on
to
fire.
we used to go out at least once a week with the kids. We went to this Italian restaurant, and we were up there having dinner. No, it was on West Liberty Avenue, yeah. And all of a sudden, the waitress said, "Your son's in the. We can't get him out of the bathroom." They had to call the fire department because the restaurant was on the 2nd or 3rd floor. They had to call the fire department to get him out. Philip said, like that. He was always nonchalant, that's for sure. And he hasn't changed.
Not at all.
What was the feeling like knowing you were going to be a grandmother?
It's shock, really. I said, "Oh my goodness." I had 1, 2, 3. It was, you can't believe it. Now, when I was delivering Philip, I read all the time. So I had a book with me, and this was in the room before you go into the operating room. And the nurses came in, 2 of them came in. She said, "Look at her. She's going to have a baby and she's reading." I said, "Well, there's nothing to do to wait. I don't know when those pains are going to come." So I did that. It was just a natural thing of mine, that's all, It was nice, though. Met nice friends, made good friends.
who would you say is your best friend?
Oh my goodness, then. In later life is when I met Norma Elias, about, 30, 40 years ago. We were at a magazine. We went to all the picnics. We went to all the conventions, That was fun, yeah. We even went to Florida. You kids, there's a picture of you kids swimming. Oh my God, yeah. That was beautiful.
What about when you went to Las Vegas with Uncle George and Aunt Norma?
Oh my God, yeah.
And they checked.
Well, George Elias never touched cards. He didn't play cards. He didn't bet. He didn't do anything like that. So Bob, I guess, took a lot of money with him. So he said, come on, I have to get some money to play. So we went up there, and there's a platform. We walk in. Bob went in.
They're going into the safe where the money
He
is.
went into the safe to get some money.
At the hotel.
Pardon me?
At the casino or hotel.
So then he came out, and he was like, his head was down. He said, George gave him his money to hold too there. So when once it's there, he came out, he said, and George said, what's wrong? He said, George, I hate to tell you, somebody went in and took your money, they didn't touch mine. George laughed so much about Bob because he wasn't funny that way. He was bent over laughing. Yeah, they were good times. And we went to the Steelers game. Where was that picture?
Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. And then we were home with Martha Albert and stuff. And we're in the car, and Norma's hanging out, yelling. I didn't say anything. And George Elias said, Elaine, he said, I'm sorry, my tickets are up. He was up there. He said, I only have I said, listen, we're happy to be here. We went down, we were like in the second row, and the door opened, and that's where the players came out. We were hysterical. I said, oh my God, Bob, look what happened. And Bob kept going at him. In fact, who sat next to us was Bob Aber, would you believe it?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
What's one of your favorite vacations?
I think down in Mexico, We went to Mexico with you, then with Bob. Yeah, I think it was a different world to me. I was never exposed to that. Those were the best. We made a lot of weekend things and stuff. We went to practically all the Soyo conventions, We followed them. We even went to California. And it was amazing. We'd meet people. So we were at Seven Springs. So Norma said, let's rent a room. So we rented a big room with, 5, 6 bedrooms. We took Kimby, the whole thing out. And it was beautiful because everyone would come at night and sit outside of our place. And the stories we heard, oh my God. Beautiful, beautiful stories. Beautiful stories. Funny, yeah.
What do you feel is the magic? Why have you lived so long? What do you feel has?
I don't know. Today I'm asking myself. I have a lot of friends, but my very close friends like Norma and all them. I don't know. I asked God that. I'm going to be 93, right? And many times when I'm saying a prayer, I'll say, what am I doing here? Am I inventing something? Am I telling somebody how to live or correcting their lifestyle? What am I doing here? And I thank God, believe me, every night that He let me live this long to see my children and my great-grandchildren. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing, really. It is. I thank God for that.
What do you feel is your legacy? What do you see as your legacy?
My legacy? I think someone who was warm and giving, and whoever you would meet, you'd include them in your circle of friends. That was it. And that kept going and going that way. I think I would open myself to friends, right?
What do you want to make sure that we as a family continue?
That's what I pray to every night. You get married, you have children, you're on the east, somebody's in the west. But you can never, never, never forget that. Your brother and your sister, that's your blood. And that will never, never change. There might be ups and downs, but that will never change. Because you know you could go to them and say, I need help. And it'll be there. That's beautiful, honey. No, that's beautiful. Philip has his own life up there. Then you had yours up at the other side. And then Michelle, you know. But like I said, it's worked out okay, thank God. Ups and downs, but that's normal in family life.
What is the first thing you're going to say to Jiddu when you see him again?
I'll just say, Bob. He'll know. He'll know, yes. That was a special, really, that's like a fairy tale. That is, we're on the dance floor, and all of a sudden,
You both knew it.
yes. And then became the hectic, ooh. And that wasn't Elaine to go against the stream. That would be Lorraine, but never Elaine. And I pursued. Mm-hmm.
All right, one more. Who's your favorite grandchild?
Oh, my favorite grandchild. Well, the first one is female, is Jamie, and the male is Philip. Philip Moses. Philip Moses Sam. And I'm blessed with my grandchildren, really. I am blessed. They're beautiful kids. I think the only way I can say is, remember how you grew up with loving family. Never lose that. Like I said, you eventually might go out of the circle, but you know you can come back in. Treasure that. You have to treasure it. Many, many people don't have that. They're lucky if they know their first cousin. Never lose it. It might be inconvenient, but in the end, what you're doing is very important. You're keeping that family together. Like I said, there might be good days, maybe weekdays. But you know you can get on the phone and say, I need help. No problem. No problem. This has been a beautiful, what's that song? This is a lovely way to spend an evening. Can't think of anything I'd rather do. This is a lovely way to spend a morning. I want to save all my lights and save them with you.
Love you, Situ.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Proud to have you, honey.
Thank you.